Hello. Yeah, very good afternoon to all of you. Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Sir. First of all, let me just clear one thing. I'm facing some like little bit problem related to my camera, right? Okay, just give me a second. Yeah, first of all, very good morning, good afternoon to all of you, Dr. Satish sir, Vivekanand sir, and Pooja ma'am, Tulika ma'am, and Nidhi ma'am, and everyone that are available and connected with this faculty development program meeting, right? So before I just continue, may I know that like this is the final strength that I am particularly seeing here right now? Hello. Hello. Yeah, hi Satish sir. So this is the final strength, right? Right, or should I just wait? अभी मुझे wait करना चाहिए, or shall I just continue?
Sir, actually, I am one of the participants.
Okay, so I was just asking, right?
Somebody from GBU should answer this question.
Okay,
That whether this is the final strength or many more to come.
right,
So
right.
probably you
Got it.
can wait for 2-3 minutes. People didn't have the idea that they have to, log out from the previous meeting and log into this meeting. So people are coming here, leaving that meeting and joining this.
Okay,
You can wait for 2-3 minutes.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let me just share the same information with all the delegates, right? Hmm.
So,
Yeah, hi Indu ma'am. Very good afternoon. Ankit Mirza this side. Actually, I am facing some little bit problem related to my camera. So I was just trying कि थोड़ा सा correct हो जाए. Just give me a second. And I was just asking, ma'am, I think you are on mute. Okay. Yes, yes. Now you are audible. So should I just wait for some more time, or shall I just continue?
You can start, please, because we are already late by some half an hour. So it's okay,
Okay.
we can start.
Okay.
Participants are waiting for the session to start.
Okay. So before I just continue, right, and before I just introduce myself, I just want you all delegates and respected senior faculty members just to clear the expectation from this kind of faculty development program, so that I will try to fulfill the overall expectation, the overall project, and the overall the industrial requirement that we have to work on, right? So anyone like Indu ma'am, Pooja ma'am, and anyone that they just want to communicate, like what exactly the expectation from this kind of the faculty development program. Well, I have like already prepared roadmap for upcoming 5 days. What are the things that we have to cover from like basic day 1 to day 5, right? But this is just a like feedback mechanism so that I can further continue with that.
I think we have scholars in the group, we have faculty members. Anybody from industry? Anyone having industrial background? Mostly all are going to use these learnings and the techniques, tools that they are going to learn in their research, in their day-to-day academic work, enrich their area, to work in interdisciplinary areas. And of course, uh, if they can get some opportunity to join industries, I think many of them, they might be interested to join the industries once they get the necessary skill sets,
Right.
which are required to join the industrial platform. So I think the expectation must be in respect of knowing about how to analyze the data, how to even understand the data requirements, how to use the relevant techniques, because we have variety of, I mean, types of data. So we use techniques accordingly. So which technique to use with which kind of uh,
Got it.
data set, and how to come out with accurate analysis of the data, how to extract the information from the data set that we have, how to make strategies and all such things. We have faculty members from across various backgrounds, with biotechnology background, with management background, with uh, pure science background, and so on and so forth. So I
Okay.
think you have to start with the basics, and of course get into the complexity stage by stage, and make them understand how they can understand their data set, which technique they can apply to get most information from the data set,
Right.
kind of things.
Okay.
Like for example, Excel, if we talk about, we use linear regression very uh, easily without checking the requirements of the data, whether it is actually linear, whether we need
Very good.
linearity
Yeah.
in our analysis, all sort of things. Because we assume and we do something, and software will always give you some or the other result, but that result may not be accurate. So how to
Definitely.
ensure the accuracy and all such reliability and all such
Got it.
measures
Got
to
it. Right.
take?
Right. So, why I was asking all these things before, I genuinely wants to commutate and to particularly communicate the same level of domain knowledge what I have, and how you can particularly apply all those trending technologies, the skill set, the tools, whatever field that you are working on, whether it is like related to healthcare sector, research sector, medicine sector, manufacturing sector. And after this, like day one session, I'll roll out of Google feedback form where you can genuinely fill your expectation, like these are my expectation from this kind of workshop, these are the data set that I am working on, these are the problems that I have to encounter on day to day basis. I'll genuinely wants, right? I don't want ki just you came here, you learn some tools, and this is the final workshop. No, I don't want like that. I genuinely wants should have some sort of problem related to data set, or the related to whatever the field that you are working on, and I'll try to particularly pull out all the problems related to that data set, and how as a business analyst we can like identify the problems, and we can sort out all the problems and find the final answer, right? So let me just share my screen, right? Okay, so before I just continue, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. Very good afternoon to everyone present here. And it's again a very true honor for me to work with you, or to like work with academic leaders, the researchers or the scientists. Like we have statistician also, mathematicians also, from like different institutions, right? It's very heartfelt thank to Gautam Buddha University and Indu ma'am for organizing this kind of futuristic faculty development program, which not only work on business analytics, and which also focusing on how to use AI trendy techs, trendy tools and technologies to identify the business problem and cater the solution based on that, right? I am Ankit Misra. I have worked as a business consultant. I have started my career as a business consultant. Right now, I am working as a GenAI engineer, right? Before I just continue, let me just share you where we are right now. This is the current AI field right now, because I really want you should you should get that overall detailed insight of what exactly the trends and technologies are ongoing in the market, and where the business analyst lies, what exactly the data analyst is, the data scientist is, right? So we have this field, artificial intelligence. I have already explained artificial intelligence is just a field which try to mimic the human intelligence, the data set that that they have stored inside their machine, or the CPUs or the GPUs that we have, right? If we want to implement this field, whether we are from like bio field, we are from like the physics or the statisticians, sometimes we have to use the mathematics, right? हमारा कोई भी field होगा, we have to use this artificial intelligence in sort of either on machine learning technique or on deep learning techniques. If we have a very structured form of data, we generally prefer the machine learning technique. The machine learning further divided into multiple parts. Then if we have a unstructured data, the data could be related to like the textual data, the images data, the audio data, we have to focus on the deep learning technique, right? And the person that works on this all these machine learning and the deep learning is a data scientist. A data scientist is the right person that knows what is going to be in the near term future. This particularly works on the prescriptive analysis, right? How to prescribe the sales, how to prescribe, how to identify the problems, and how to get the solution of that problem, and to prescribe the all solution aspect whatever the possible, right? This is the main work of a data scientist. Again, many professor has told that without mathematicians, without statistical knowledge, you can't be a good data scientist, and you can't use that data science work on day to day basis, because the data scientist work are divided into two further major domain. The first is on like the theoretical part, and the second is on the mathematical or the implementation part. For that implementation part, you should know the basic or the advanced algorithms of mathematics, statistics and all. But where exactly all these data analysts, the business analyst lies? So business analyst is the person that identifies the business problem, driving the business strategies and give the solution, so that company can take the decision making based on the data set or based on the analysis that they have performed, right? This is the main requirement of a business analyst. I have worked as a Gen AI engineer also, right? I have worked with mentoring multiple startups, multiple like thousands of educators across the India, across like sometimes like Nepal, Sri Lanka and all, right? I know as a professional, I need to particularly find the gap between where is the data and the decision. And the person that can identify the gap between the data and the decision is a business analyst, right? The business analyst, the main focus is on to identify the gap and to find the patterns, to find the hidden patterns, so that we can take decision based on that, right? Now, if I just ask you, what why business analytics is right now, what is the requirement of this business analyst, why we have to use all these business analyst tools, technologies, or why is this field required? Anyone? Vivekanand sir, see, I want two-way communication, so that that particularly faculty development program not just a one way of communication, it should be like the two way, so that I can also take input from all of you, and I can particularly apply the examples that could be related to all of your fields, right? Satish sir, Kavita ma'am, Dr. Nidhi ma'am, Dr. Prasant sir, Dr. Varsha ma'am, anyone, can I just know why business analytics now? What is the requirement of a like industrial need, and why there is a shift? Anyone just want to communicate? Huh.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
This said Vivekanand, sir.
yeah. Very good
Sir, it's
afternoon.
need for the good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. It's a need for the knowing the demand for the modern workforce, which increasing relied on data-driven decision making.
Very
So,
good.
business analytics help for the forecasting the future demands for any business products or for any related innovation and research in any type of product in new research and development in the products.
Okay. If I just ask, what exactly separates today the leading companies, the leading giants, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, Amazon, and from those that are struggling right now? What could be the possibilities that the leading companies are leading in the market and the struggling companies are already facing some struggles? What could be the potential differences between all of them, right? It should be related to like capital, like the leading company have the capital, so they can take the decision based on that. It is like the manpower, it is the product that they deliver, or it is what? It should be, I think, the data driven decision making. If the companies there is a subtle difference between the leading companies and the struggling companies. The struggling companies don't know how to take decision based on data set, and the leading companies know how to take the decision based on the data set. This is the only difference. Irrespective of the capital, irrespective of the manpower, irrespective of the product that they are into, right? Let me just share you one report, right? In 2023, McKinsey has like particularly conducted a survey, and they found like the companies are generally profitable are using the data driven insight more. 23 times if the company is focusing on data driven decision, the chances of getting higher profit increasing day by day. And same with the vice versa. If the companies are not focusing on the data driven decision, the company may faces losses, right? The global leaders like the Amazon, Tesla, Netflix, Google, they know how to use all these business models using the business analytics. And business analytics, believe me, it not just like a implementation of AI, it not just a automation. The professor sir has told that business analytics was far more behind what we are implementing right now. It is not just a 2023 to 2025 of product. Since 2020, when the Microsoft Excel was like introduced, somewhere we had a designation that was called MIS executive, like MIS executive, that was the same person that tried to implement all these strategies. But we are getting the very big amount of data, that data set that we are getting at very huge velocity. And the companies like Amazon, Tesla, Netflix, Google, or any some sort of big giants, they all are using the business analytics. They know how to churn their data, they know how to identify the hidden pattern behind that data. They know what are the concept related to the data mining. They know what exactly the purpose of a data analyst, the all terms related to the data, and they know how to work with the data, right? This is the main requirement. And the business analyst is the same person that convert data into strategic asset. If I can summarize the business analyst in just a simple one word, if anyone you are working as a business analyst or will work as a business analyst, the main strategy is to convert the data into a business decision making, right? And it could be like the strategic asset for any company. Now what about artificial intelligence, what about machine learning, what about deep learning? All these terms are like commonly misunderstood. The people generally refer like we have these like the chat gpt is a tool, this is the implementation of AI. No, the AI is just a overall broader area, right? Chat gpt was or is just a tool that uses the all AI machine learning concept, right? So artificial intelligence just a mimic of human intelligence, I can say. The machine learning, the algorithm that learn how the data is performing throughout the entire time series. And deep learning is just an advanced neural network, right? If I want to work with the machine learning, the deep learning is the advanced neural network, right? The neural network is just how to mimic the human brain. If we have like the data set related to the textual data, we have to work on these deep learning techniques. And now who is business analyst? A business analyst is the same person that knows the all trending technologies, that knows how to identify the business problem, whatever the solution that are available right now in the market. And that's why we generally refer that person as a business analyst. The person with the analyst knowledge with the business acumen is the business analyst. That person knows the difference between all basic data blending, data mining, data cleaning, and finalizing the final solution so that the company can take decision based on the data set, or any data set that they have, right? This is the main requirement of a business analyst. And believe me, this faculty development program not going to introduce you the universe of business analysts, what how to implement all these AI technical terms, how to use the data analyst, and what are the common correlation between the data analyst and the business analyst. The what is the purpose of a like a data scientist, how it generally work on day to day basis, and where the business analyst lies, right? Suppose we have like the problem related to airline revenue management, right? Because I want all this to be practical one, right? The revenue management company can faces the problem related to like the pricing demand, the forecasting demand, and the business analyst should be there. It should understand the data set. Data set related to what? The data set related to the ticket prices, the data set related to the sales, data set related to the demand center data, data set related to the consumer pattern, data set related to the competitors. All these are the data set, and the business analyst will try to learn the hidden pattern inside that data set, so that they can take the decision, they can deliver the decision, and the company can take the decision based on the analysis that the data analyst has performed or the business analyst has performed. Okay, any question as of now, or any expectation, like apart from this, that the business analyst also do this, all this kind of stuff? Anyone, any respected members? Tulika ma'am, Varsha ma'am, Dr. Pooja ma'am, Dr. Madan sir, Dr. Prasant sir, Dr. Pooja ma'am, Dr. Satish sir, Kavita ma'am, anyone? See, again, I want like a two-way communication, because I have worked as a like the corporate trainer, and I don't want to deliver just a one-sided of conversation, because it could be like very problematic for me to just only deliver a one-sided kind of aspect, right? So, any question as of now? We'll try to cover up all the like the day-wise module that we have, right? Why particularly faculty member need to analyze all this analytics? What are the like modernization concept related to this, and how it can particularly helps in student employability? All these stuffs are related to the business analyst, right? Okay, let me just ask some very business like day-to-day business problem, right? Let me just open one PPT, right? We have a multiple problem that business analyst faces on day to day basis, right? These are the challenges, because I want you should understand the business analyst acumen knowledge with the problems that they generally work on, right? The problem could be related to the retail sales decline. We have like pick any company, right? Pick any company like from Zomato, Swiggy, or like the Flipkart. They have their problem that the sales are declining, right? These are the symptoms. What could be the possibilities of the symptoms, right? The problems are drop in the footfall, right? The company is not able to find how to identify the solution that generally works on, so that we can decline the whatever the problem that we are facing, right? The problem could be related to the Tata Steel company, that they want the like they generally want to reduce the management cost, or they want to reduce the maintenance cost, right? The problem could be related to the like telecom sector company. The problem is like the user generally switches there from one telecom sector company to another telecom. Like we have already faced the problem that the Geos and the Airtels that they have right now in the market. So these are the business problem, and business analyst is there that generally identify the problem. Suppose like you are working as a business analyst, and the problem could be related to this telecom customer churn. I want what exactly your understanding based on this. If we are getting this type of problem, right? The problem could be related to the companies that they are facing, their churn rate are increasing on daily basis or the monthly or quarterly basis, and they need to tackle the problem, they need to find the solution. So like what exactly your approaches would be? But so someone asked some question, sir, what are the statistical model used business analysis? What are the statistical model used business analysis? See, we know that statistical generally represent the basic mathematical implementation of a data. If we want to predict the near-term value, like what exactly the mean value, the overall variance, or the correlation between the data set that they have. Like suppose I want to correlate the age and the demand. So all these are the statistical model. The statistical model further now converted into the machine learning model. The very basic statistical model is a linear regression model. And as a business analyst, you need to understand how to implement all this basic statistical model into a real world implementation, so that you can predict the near term future value, you can predict the trend, you can identify the patterns, you can predict the next value, and the statistical model that going to help. If I know the programming pattern, so I can use all these statistical model to with the help of programming language, and I can predict the next value. So I can use the R language as well, I can use Python language as well. And definitely in upcoming all these days, we'll try to work on all statistical model, whether it is related to the like the regression problem, the problem could be related to the classification problem. Suppose like you are working in in a Netflix company as a business analyst, and the problem could be related to this. They just want to segregate the customer, like the demand or the customer kind of sentiment, like the viewership or the sentiment analysis you have to perform. Like the customer are genuinely interested in this kinds these kinds of, like the movies, shows, or the videos that they have, right? And if you're working as a business analyst, you need to identify the problem, so that how I can particularly create an algorithm, so that not only just suggest the automatic viewership, and it should also suggest like these are the uh, same videos, or like the same clusters of videos that user might explore in the future, right? So the statistical model generally is like basic mathematical implementation of the business models. It starts with generally basic descriptive statistics. Sir, can you suggest some finance topic where we use in Python? See, the financial topic is like the risk analyst. If anyone is working as a risk analyst, they need to work on the stock price prediction. If you're working as a financial analyst, you have to understand what are the sales pattern. You have to use the Python. The Python is just a very basic programming language, right? We need to understand the different modules. The modules could be related to the matplotlib, the pandas module, the numpy module, and the scientific Python, which is like the scipy module, right? So if I want to use the financial modeling, I need to understand the risk analyst problem. I need to segregate the machine learning concept. I need to work on the statistical model development. I need to work on the time series analysis. I need to work on like what could be the next stock price prediction. So all these, see, the Python is just only a programming language. You can implement all this using the statistical model as well. You can use the MATLAB as well. You can use the Matplotlib. You can use the R language. You can use any statistical programming language. So just Python is only the very basic one of them, right? Let me just give you the evolution of a business analytics, right? The business analyst started in 1960, right? It started in 1960. Let me just open my PPT, right? So business analysts started in 1960, and when there is a rise of Excel, right? Excel comes into the market. There is a requirement of ERP, and we started with the like reporting with the SQL. And since like 2000, there is a requirement of a BI tool, right? Let me just open my Excel and I'll write the same thing what I was conveying, right? See, 1960 we have started with the implementation of a 1960, not 1950, with the implementation of a MIS. May I know the full form of MIS? MIS is like management info system, right? It's very important. You need to understand the overall distribution of a data, right? Then in 1990 onwards, we started with like the implementation of Excel. There is a rise of Excel in the market. The ERP comes to the market. Then some developer work using the SQL as a programming language. Like SQL is like a structured query language. There is a requirement like that Excel can only store limited amount of data. What about if we are getting the huge amount of data or very big volume amount of data? So there is a requirement of reporting using SQL. Now these are the key development in the business analytics field, right? Since 2000 onwards, there is a requirement of a BI tools. The BI tools were like the business intelligence tools. The BI tools were like the business intelligence tools. They have used in the market. We have multiple tools right now. The business intelligence not only uses their intelligence, they just deliver how to get the near term value inside BI tools. Inside BI tools, we have implemented the KPIs, the dashboard, right? Using the different tools that we have. The tools could be related to the Tableau, the ClickView, the Power BI, like the Zoho, the IBM Cognos are there. All these are tools that are available in the market, right? In 2010, we have started with the AI like self service analytics. The service analytics was related to the Power BI, the Tableau. All these services provide the real time insights. It doesn't related to like you have a 10 days old newspaper, there is a no use of it, right? You genuinely want a real time analysis, and when it comes to real time analysis, you need that tools that can convey the real time message, that can convey the real time decision making. And that's why there is a requirement of a, like, see, I'm not saying like the Power BI introduced in the market in 2010, right? There was a like there was some researchers or scholars in the Stanford. They have introduced the tool that was like Tableau, and Tableau comes into the market with the implementation of a BI tools, right? Power BI comes into the market around 2015, right? And they completely took over the market because they have their monopoly, because the backing that they have from the Microsoft, right? In 2020s, we have starting implementing with the use of artificial intelligence, right? We have like worked on the data scientists. The data scientists person were there to implement all these AI trending tools and technologies, so that you not only get the real time insight, you can particularly get the forecasting value as well, right? So there is a requirement of all these like tools and technologies when it comes to AI, right? And right now, since from like the MIS to particularly 2020, all these are my the current roadmap that business analyst has moved from like the passive reporting. So I can just simply say from a like the passive reporting, the reporting was like it was very time taken, and right now we are into like the active reporting. The active reporting is like the real time insight generation. So these are the key development in fields of business analytics. It's just a very basic timeline, right? But when it comes to the roles and responsibilities of a business analysts need to work on different things, right? The things could be related to the functional requirement. The let me just Okay. So any question as of now? Like anyone? Varsha ma'am, Dr. Prasant sir, Dr. Tulika ma'am sir, Dr. Par sir, Dr. Archana ma'am, anyone? Okay, so the major core roles and responsibility of a business analyst, not just only like work on a requirement gathering. Requirement gathering are particularly divided into two parts. The first part are like the business requirement draft, and the second part is like my functional requirement draft. So when it comes to like the business analyst day-to-day work roles and responsibility, you need to work on the BRDs, and the second thing is on FRDs, right? The functional requirement and the business requirement. The business analyst work on the gap analysis, right? You need to understand what are the gaps, right? The business analyst has to work on like overall day-to-day communication with the stakeholders. The business analyst has to work on the dashboard creation and all, right? So these are the basic roles and responsibility. But since like from 1916 to 2025, right now we are in the market. It's not only like related to BRDs, FRD, gap analysis and dashboard. It's very important to identify the business problem, right? Identify the business problem and gives a solution, right? This is the main outcomes of a business analyst that need to particularly cater or need to deliver in a day-to-day market, right? Now let me just give you the very basic example. Like in India, when the BJP came into the market, they uses the data driven techniques to particularly understand what exactly going in the market, whether it is like the public sector bank or the private sector bank, right? If the problem, like let me just take an example. If there is a public sector bank, right? There is a public sector bank, and the problem that they are facing in the like declining of their customer. Can I just ask this question, guy? Everyone, respected faculty members, the problem that they are facing, like there is a declining or there is a decline in their customers or in their day-to-day customers. There is a public sector bank, right? And now if you work as a business analyst, what exactly the first thing you have to particularly work on? You will ask them like, just give me the data. The data could be related to the customers, right? A business analyst first try to gather the data, right? Why I was writing all these things, although I have prepared all the PPTs and all, but if I just simply write, you will definitely learn, you will definitely know, okay, these are the things that we have to perform on day-to-day basis. First you have to gather the user data, right? Identify the problem could be related to like the problem could be related to like the UI and UX problem. The UI and UX problem was like the design was not good. The design was not good of what? Like the banking solutions that they are providing, right? The problem could be related to the technical stuff. The technical problem could be there. The problem could be related to the IT stuff. The problem could be related to like the server problem or the IT problem. The problem could be related to the competitors, like they were providing the more perks and benefit, or they are providing the more user enhancement features, and what we are delivering is not up to that level. So these are the problem that business analysts need to identify on their day to day work. And once they identify all the business problem, they need to create a funnel. The funnel could be related to the BRDs, and the funnel could be related to the FRDs, right? And once we created all these BRDs and FRDs, once we created all these BRDs and FRDs, now I can particularly deliver the solution, right? So why I was repeating all these things, because this FDP contains all these things, right? Let me just again share my the day to day curriculum that we are going to cover in entire FDP program, right? From day one, the fundamental of business analytics, to day two, what exactly the documentation and the data visualization part that we have to work on. The third thing, what is the use of like the Python and the project management when it comes to the business analytics. The fourth, we'll start with the basic implementation of the BI tool, not only just the basic one, with the advanced visualization concept, right? And the final day totally dedicated to like the Tableau, so that we can understand these are the concept, and we'll start focusing on the machine learning models, not just only to particularly predict the value, to just identify the business problem, or to particularly find the forecasting and the outcomes that can be in the near term future, right? So these are the basic outcome that we have to like work on if we are working as a business analyst, right? So before I just continue to the practical aspect, is there any question? Anyone? Dr. Vivekanand sir, Dr. Prasant sir, Dr. Madan sir, Dr. Manish sir, Asmita ma'am, Dr. Par sir, Dr. Pooja ma'am, Dr. Pooja ma'am again, Dr. Satish sir, anyone? Dr. Priya ma'am? See, all those, the whatever like I have delivered, all was related to the practical aspect of the PPT's presentation. But right now, I am going to deliver you the practical aspect, right? How to understand the business problem, how to use all these tools and technologies, like whatever the Excel, Power BI, or whatever I am quoting, right? So before I just jump to the practical part, anyone wants to give me some suggestion, or anyone wants to give their input, or any some sort of question? Anyone? All respected faculties. Hello. See, I'm seeing we have multiple faculties are there, 17 plus, right? And I really want your input so that I can further particularly continue on that, how to implement all these things practically. Or shall I just continue? Let me know. Everyone, anyone, just any sort of suggestion? Okay. Sir, you have not mentioned supervised learning. Why? No, the thing is that, see, I'll start with the machine learning concept, right? Because I have mentioned all these things. When it comes to like machine learning implementation, the machine learning further divided into three different aspects. The first is called supervised, the second is called unsupervised, the third is called reinforcement, right? I'll try to definitely give all these insights when it comes to the implementation of machine learning, right? The further machine learning, supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement are divided into their further algorithms. What exactly the supervised machine learning is? Someone is there to supervise us. So we have a X data, we have a Y label data. So in short, I can simply say, if we have a label data, the label data is like, yes, I'm sharing my screen, right? So we have a label data. The label data is like, we have the target value. Like the target value could be related to like this. Let me just show this practically, right? See, suppose the companies are like, there is a problem in the credit card, right? The company wants to generally find the credit card fraud detection, or they just want key which type of customer should I just give their credit card, right? They're just really interested in their customer segmentation, whether their customers are interested in like the credit card or not, right? So in generally, the companies or the banks will look their age, the salary that they have, their civil score, right? The civil score and the address, or the companies that they are working on, whether like they are working right now or not. So I can just simply say employed or not, right? Employed or not. And the thing is that the final value, whether should the company give them a credit card or not. So in just the final answer is either yes or the final answer is either no. So all these are my input data set, right? In generally we classify all this input data set as a X data set, right? X is like the input features, and this one is the final target value. And in generally we finalize the target value with the Y data set, right? So this is the target that we have to predict. This is the target that we have to classify, right? So when it comes to supervised machine learning, we have this, like this is the X data, and we have this Y data that we have to predict this, we have to classify this. So I can say if we have a label data, so that time we generally refer as a supervised machine learning. But when it comes to like the unsupervised, we when we don't have a label data, in that case we generally use unsupervised machine learning. Unsupervised machine learning is like we generally try to identify the pattern. See, in generally, we try to like identify the patterns, right? If we are particularly working on unsupervised machine learning, unsupervised is like we don't have the Y target value, we just have only like the X input value. The unsupervised machine learning generally uses the approaches which is called the clustering approach, right? We need to work on the clustering techniques. We have different sort of algorithms related to like the machine learning, supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and the reinforcement learning. And inside the like supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning, we have one more technique which is like called semi supervised learning, right? Let me just go it and show this to you, like machine learning techniques. See, the machine learning techniques generally classified into three different parts, but let me just show you the fourth one, which is like the semi-supervised, right? So, in generally, we try to use like the prediction value or related to the regression problem, or the prediction value could be related to the classification problem. When it comes to like the business analyst work, the problem could be related to, suppose you want to like identify the stock price, right? So the stock price is just a numerical value, right? And the stock price numerical value could be like how it can particularly get and give the real time or the next term of like the return on investment. These could be the values related to the numerical one, right? The 5% interest or the return I can simply get when I invest something this much amount, right? So these are the numerical value that I have to predict, right? But when it comes to like the classification problem related to like whether the customers are interested in this or not. So in this time we generally don't have a data related to the numerical one. We have a data related to the like the classification problem. Suppose the like we have a multiple senior faculties from like their biofield as well, right? The genetics fields are there, right? They genuinely wants, suppose we have a multiple flowers, and what they want to classify their species, right? The species could be related to the rose. In rose we have multiple species, right? And based on what? Based on the sepal length, the sepal width, right? The petal length and the petal width. Let me just show you instead of writing this, right? Iris flowers classification, right? The data analyst, the data scientist, and the business analyst need to understand all these concepts, right? So if we have a classification problem related to this, we have a multiple like we have a one flower, and that flower name is iris, but there are multiple species. The species are like setosa, versicolor, and virginica, right? Now we have only four input data points. The data points are like petal length, petal width, sepal length, and sepal width. The data, let me just show you, right? Instead of writing data set, right? Iris flower classification data set, and the data set is like this. Okay, and believe me, we all do this practically, right? I'm just showing you all these things that we need to understand. So this is the flower set that we have. That flower set generally consists multiple information like the sepal length. This is the sepal length, sepal width, and the petal length and the petal width. What exactly we try to identify? We know that we have a multiple species, right? The setosa, versicolor, and the virginica. Suppose if I give you like this kind of values, so what could be the possibilities that the flower should be like Setosa or the versicolor or the Virginica. If I need to create an algorithm related to this, or if I need to build a machine learning model, whether it is like the supervised or the semi supervised, I need to identify the business problem. Like the business problem could be not only related to like the sales or the revenues or the profit. The problem could be related to the classification as well, right? So the data analyst, the data scientist, or the business analyst will try to implement all these algorithms in their day to day work, in their machine learning models, so that they just simply give the four values: the sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width, and that particular machine learning model will try to give you the predicted level. And that's where the supervised machine learning came into the role, right? So in upcoming faculty, like in upcoming days, we'll try to cover up all these things, right? Whether from like the machine learning implementation kind of stuff, and like the implementation of a Power BI dashboard or the Tableau dashboard, and not only the Excel development, but we'll try to implement the Python aspect as well, right? And believe me, in next 5 days we will equip with all tools and technologies, so that we can identify the business problem and we can give the solution. The problem could be related to any sector, believe me, the financial sector, the healthcare sector, the biological sector, right? Or like the particularly the IT sector, and any sort of analysis, right? We can implement all these analysis to get identify the problem and to work on the solution, right? So the workshops or the development program are divided into particularly different modules. So as of now, any question, everyone, every respected faculties, Dr. Vivekanand sir, Dr. Varsha ma'am, Dr. Kavita ma'am, Dr. Satish sir, Dr. Pooja ma'am, Dr. Pars sir, anyone? Dr. Priya ma'am, I am sharing my screen. If you have any question, you can simply let me know.
I can see the screen now.
Sorry.
Now, yes, I could see the screen. You were sharing the petals one, I could see that.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. So any
Yes.
question related to this one?
No, not
Okay.
at the moment.
Okay. Got
I
it.
could understand.
Okay. Got it. So let me just like start with the practical aspect, right? So now I know that what exactly the purpose, what exactly the objective that we have to work on, and the problem could be related to like the use cases or the cases that I have particularly written over there. The business problem could be related to retail sales decline. The problem could be related to the telecom customer churn rate, right? The problem could be related to the manufacturing one. What could be the problems, right? The problem is like the data set that they are getting is on very huge amount, very humongous data set that they are getting, and that's why the problem is like there is a delay in their reporting. The delay is like 7 to 10 days or more than it, right? The possibilities related to the human errors, and but the problem is that they are not getting the real time value. So that's why the companies wants to switch their dashboard development to a real time insight. And let me just show you one company that generally do all these things and that generally uses the business analyst approach, right? Okay, so the company name is Purvana, right? If you have some time, then I'll genuinely suggest to look over this company. This company generally try to integrate all the business analyst and the uh, like the problem related to the business aspect, right? And let me just say one quote: the language of business, and the person that knows the language of business is the business analyst, right? You can just simply explore this website, that the solutions that they are providing, right? The audit compliances, the call monitoring, they were facing the multiple problem related to the financing and the accounting, right? And the Purvana company implemented this solution as a business analyst, right? What exactly they uses, uses the multiple technologies, right? The Power BI, the business intelligence solution. You can simply click on this and let me just show you, right? See, these are the techniques that the business analyst has to work on day-to-day basis, whether it is like the databases concept, the CRM concept, like the agile and the methodologies, the Jira tools and technologies that we have to work on, different tools of like the analytics related to Google Analytics, the Google Looker Studio, how to get data from different sources, how to identify the hidden patterns, and how to just not just only recognize the values and try to just predict the values. And the major problem is to identify the business problem and give them the solution. So I can just simply say ki these are the techniques and these are the basic implementation that companies do. And believe me that companies generally pick the data from data set from their US client and give the solution with the help of a business analyst, right? So you can if you have time you can explore this company, right? They have their insight related to the case studies that they have performed, right? So whenever I am like I have worked with the multiple companies, and I know the company generally give the case studies, right? The case study related to this, they solve their compliances, they solve their like the rating record, they solve their like employee training problems, so they solve their like the dispute management and the problem with the like business expansion. They solve their the problem related to the Scott and associate. Let me just click on this, like instead of telling you overview, see this is like the challenges that generally business analysts faced on day to day basis, right? The challenge that they are facing, the Purvana comes into the role, right? See, they were unable to get the timely insight, and due to this, the problem was related to the corrective actions because they have their limited data visibility, and because they were not getting the real time data, that's why the problem was like they were not able to file the legal compliances, and that could generally create a problem, and the company don't get the holistic view. So connect they just came to connect with the Purvana, and they have realized the problem, they have identified the problem, and they have given their solution, right? I'll have all these PDFs. I'll after this like particularly day one of module, I'll try to give you the all case studies and how this company particularly uses the business analyst tactics to identify all the problem and give the solutions, right? So let me just open the next PPT, right? Now we know that the problem could be related to the manufacturing and reporting, the problem could be relating to the e-commerce and the logistic part as well, right? So as a business analyst you need to identify the problem, you need to give the solution, right? Now may I just know everyone, if you like particularly let me know in the chat board or in the like comment section what exactly the problem that you are facing right now and why you have chosen this faculty development program to identify the daily problem or the problem that you are facing right now. Anyone? Anyone, respected faculties? Dr. Satish sir, there should be some expectation, right? From like this kind of the development program. Dr. Kavita ma'am, see again I'll repeat the same thing. I genuinely interested in like the offline kind of training, and because due to some like limitation right now we are connected to online, right? And I genuinely appreciate any like everyone if you just let me know what exactly the problems that you are facing on day to day basis, and I'll give you the solution how a business analyst can give you the solution. And I genuinely want like from the different sectors, like the problem could be related to the manufacturing one and all, right? So that in upcoming 5 days it not just only the roadmap that I have created, I'll try to give you the solution the problem that you have faced, right? So can I connect to anyone? Dr. Satish sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
The thing is that I mean, we all know that in today's world, all the decision making is purely data driven,
Right.
and all the online companies, whether it is e-commerce or any other companies, they are continuously generating, collecting, and storing the data.
Right.
So the real challenge is that how to analyze that data so that we get the insights about the the consumers, we get the insights about the future trends.
Right.
So that is the challenge. However, there are so many tools nowadays available, starting from the beginning. The we have Excel, we have spreadsheet, and within Excel we have solver. Then another challenge that we have to report the insights to the higher authorities. So that way,
Definitely. Right.
data visualization is another area. For that we have Power BI, we have Tableau, and this dashboard in Excel also. So all these challenges we are coming across. I mean, if as a faculty, if I talk about if I have to, tell my students that how to, how to calculate the customer lifetime value,
Okay.
okay, how to do the RFM analysis, recency, monetary frequency, so that the retail store, so that the various e-commerce companies, uh, they can take the right decisions about what the customers' expectations, and how to categorize the customers on the basis of their the data as well as the analysis of data. So these are the challenges, and I have the expectation that I should be able to do all that stuff at the end of the faculty development program. So
Okay.
that's all from my side. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and yeah, thanks for such kind words, sir. And
Yes, sir.
definitely, like you have particularly given the overview, right? And let me just ask to like Dr. Vivekanand sir, Dr. Varsha ma'am, because I really want input from your side so that I can align all these like upcoming days related to the problem that you have faced, right? Again, I'll repeat the same thing. It's not like, see, I am working guy, right? I know how to implement all these things because I have worked with the financial data as well. I have worked with the healthcare sector data as well, the IT sector data as well, right? And some sort of different data sectors as well, right? But if I just get input from all of you, so I'll try my model to particularly build on that, and so that we can predict the future value as well, and it could definitely helps you a lot, right? So I want a two-way communication from each one of you, Dr. Vivekanand sir, Dr. Varsha ma'am, Dr. Madan sir, Dr. Nidhi ma'am. And if I genuinely want, I can like particularly extend this faculty development program one more day if I have something to deliver for you, right? So let me start with Dr. Pooja ma'am. Pooja ma'am, Kavita ma'am, are you there? Like anyone? Hello? See, the thing is that I just really want the problem that you are facing and why like you are expecting this faculty development program helps you in their day-to-day data driven decision making. Anyone, Dr. Vivekanand sir, Dr. Aishwarya ma'am, Dr. Nidhi ma'am, Dr. Kavita ma'am, Dr. Par sir, Dr. Manish sir.
Basically, to sir, can I say
Yes
something?
ma'am, yes ma'am.
Basically, how to use this tool to enhance the teaching, especially case studies and solutions of that. And also, practical problems. When I'm a finance professor, I'm a professor of strategy. I also teach a part of financial analytics also. So it is very useful to know these tools like Python, R, and how to simplify and how to use these in use these for our students in a very simple way so that they understand basic concept and they are able to do practical problem solutions, find possible solutions
Definitely,
to do predictive analytics. That is.
definitely. And Dr. Par sir, Dr. Dinesh sir, Dr. Manish sir. See, if I genuinely get input from all of you, I'll try to like particularly create a roadmap in the next upcoming days based on that. Anyone? Dr. Kavita ma'am, Dr. Tulika ma'am. Okay. Let me just continue with the practical one, right? So let me begin with very basic question, right? Because I think yes, anyone is saying something. I think anyone. Okay. So if I just ask you, if what is the cost of a bad decision or bad business decision? If anyone like particularly took a bad decision, what exactly it cost on any companies? According to IBM survey, right? It should like 3 to 4 trillion dollar per year. It should like $3 to $4 trillion per year globally if the companies took bad decision. And because all these bad decisions generally like lead to loss of $4 trillion annually globally, so that's why there is a requirement of a business analyst or an analyst that could save all these huge amount of money, right? So that the company can take based on the based on the topologies that they have created, right? So it's very important. Now if I just ask you what are the different skill set that they have to work on, so all these tools and technologies that we generally know, right? So let me just start with the practical one. So we know these are the business problem. We'll try to encounter all these business problem, and we'll try to identify the business problems, and try to inculcate the solution, like after understanding all these business problems, right?
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. There is a one person have a open their mic and your voice is disturbed because their uh, voices.
Okay, so
Uh,
it's my request to
kindly, huh,
everyone, kindly please like mute your microphone. Everyone, please recheck your mic. Let me just check.
okay, sir. Now you can continue, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so this is like the training promise from my side, right? We will cover how to create the BRDs, how to implement all these FRDs, right? What exactly the effective project management techniques that we have to work on, how to identify the business problem, how to fulfill the gap, right? These are the promises that I am giving, okay? And these are the day-to-day things that I have to work on. And I have just converted in just a very short format, like from the foundation of the business analytics to the day 5 of the capstone, which is like the industry oriented simulation of a project, right? Which will cover all KPIs to like the identifying the real business problem, and we will try to uh, work on identifying on this business problem and to give the solution related to the tools or the knowledge that we have, right? So when it comes to like analytics concept, it's very important, like you all are particularly attending this faculty development program not just to enhance your knowledge, right? It could be related to you want to apply all these analytics tools in your day-to-day work, in your researching, and your consultant in your day-to-day consultation approach, right? You want to mentor your students, some all of you are already working with the like industrial day-to-day, and you want to collaborate with the different industries, right? Some are already working, right? Some are already CEOs and stakeholders, and they genuinely wants to present the solution. So it's just a very basic approach, right? To identify the problem and to give the solution, right? And we'll try to work on the real time or the real world project, so that we need to understand these are the problem that we generally faced on day to day basis, right? And it's very important to invest yourself in like what exactly the overall ecosystem of a data, and not only to like work on all these tools and technologies. You can boost your career in like in the academic research shift as well, right? And the finally we'll try to implement the project and the overall strategies related to this, right? So let me just start with the day one module. Now I know what exactly like the business analyst is, right? So we know what how to particularly work on the business analytics, right? The different problems, the different types of analysis that they have to work on, right? So the business analyst, before I just continue to the business analyst, there is a requirement of a field that is called the analysis field, right? And we have further bifurcated this field into multiple parts. The parts are like types of analytics. The first is like the descriptive analysis. The second is predictive analysis. Third is diagnostic analysis, and the fourth is prescriptive analysis. And believe me, if you just understood all these things, the descriptive, predictive, diagnostic, and prescriptive analysis, we will definitely understand the role of a business analyst, the data analyst, or the data scientist, or any sort of analyst, right? What exactly the descriptive analysis is? Business analyst has to understand what exactly happened, right? Since like the company has like generated their data to right now. So if I want to understand what exactly has happened, like the example could be like the increasement like the increment in the sales, the increment in the profit. So this is like the descriptive analysis, and the descriptive analysis is related to the past data. You cannot work on like the descriptive analysis in the future data, right? So when it comes to like the data analyst or the data scientist or the business analyst, they need to work on descriptive analysis. They need to identify the patterns, they need to identify what exactly has happened, right? The second thing that they had to work on is the diagnostic analysis. You will try to diagnose the situation, you will try to identify why did it happen, right? The problem could be like the problem that we are facing. See, the company right now facing is like because of US, the Donald Trump has announced their like the tariff war situation and all, and the possibilities could be like the company could generally faces like low export ratios, right? So we know that the diagnostic problem is like why did it happen, because some countries like the president has raised the tariff portion, right? So these are the diagnostic problem that we have to work on. And what about the predictive analysis? The predictive analysis generally comes where the data scientist plays their role, right? What will happen in the near term future, like the problem could be related to customer churn, the problem could be related to the future data. The future data is like the prescription or the forecasting that you want to perform, right? So it's like the data scientist generally is the right person that particularly work on this future forecasting and the predictive analysis, right? And we'll try to identify like how to particularly work on future forecasting as well, right? Now what about the next analysis, which is called the prescriptive analysis? It's like your suggestions or your decisions that you will generally give to the company, like these are the suggestions and strategies that we have to work on, right? Now now let me just start with the different types of the data set that we generally encounter with, right? I have took very basic data set, like the data set could be related to the banking one, the transactional data set. The data set could be related to the customer one, it could be like related to the social media, the web data. And let me just go to and google it. We have multiple data set, right? List of fields where business analyst is used, right? You can just simply check कि we have multiple things, like this is not my answer, right? This is the Google answer, the consultant field, the system analysis, the business intelligence field, right? The field could be related to the healthcare sector, education sector, the IT sector, the consulting, e-commerce, and so on, right? So it's very important to understand the data set. See, the thing is that if I am working like in healthcare sector and I don't know the very basic range of BP could not be like वो 200 से ज़्यादा ऊपर नहीं होना चाहिए. It should not be like more than 200. But I don't know. I don't have the like the domain knowledge. So it's very important for the business analyst to have some domain knowledge as well. If I am working in like the financial sector data set, and I should be very equipped with the domain knowledge of the financial data as well, right? So business and for business analysts, it's very important to identify the data set that they are working on, to identify the problem, and so that they can segregate the data set. They can work on the data cleaning, they can work on the data mining, they can work on the data building, they can work on the data pipeline. All these techniques that they had to work on day to day basis, right? Data analysis, project management, and the product management, right? So all these are my types of data set that I can generally work on. Believe me, I have worked on healthcare sector data set, I have worked on financial sector data set. I know there was a time one client has approached, like I want to predict the stock price, and for that I want a real time Power BI implementation. And what exactly the requirement were? The requirement were like we have a NSE, national stock exchange, and we have some brokers, right? They have their data set. The client was more interested is, instead of getting the data set or the like the livestock data from the brokers, the client were more interested in getting data from the NSE directly itself, and they were ready to pay the amounted or the subscription fees that the NSE required, right? So now I know that there is a requirement of a API concept. If I work as a business analyst, I need to understand what exactly this API is, or what exactly these API are. Can I know anyone what exactly, like what do you understand by the API? Anyone, respected faculty members?
Access point interface.
Access point interface. See, that's why I was again and again saying it's very important to understand the context, right? Access point interface is a very good example, but when it comes to like the programmatical point of context, this API represent application programming interface. I know that you are also right and I am also right, but the differences are just based on the context that I am using, right? The references that I am using. Yes or no? So when I work as a business analyst, I need to understand this API concept as well, because sometimes the companies want, I don't have Excel, I don't have the data set, right? The data set are generally stored inside my databases, right? Now, if the data set are stored inside my databases, how I can get data or how to get data from the database? So there is a role now. We need to create a API management system. We need to work on this API. What exactly this API is? Now let me just show you this practically, right? API example using using restaurant, right? Using API example restaurant. See restaurant management system. Let me just click on this. See, suppose we have a like the waiter is there, okay, and as a client I am there, right? Features of an online restaurant management system. I don't want to use this slide. Let me just open my paint. API represent application programming interface, right? And when you work as a business analyst, you will get data from anywhere, right? The API is like application programming interface, and some sort there is a backend. The backend is like if I just simply take example of a restaurant, the backend could be related to the kitchen, where generally we need to prepare all the foods and all, right? And there is a front end like the reception desk, and where we generally sit, and there is a person that is like a waiter. We generally try, we don't generally want to just simply go to the kitchen and bring the food and the and whatever like we are interested in. We generally call a waiter and let them know like these are the particularly requirements for today, just go to the kitchen and bring all, right? We simply pay for this, right? So this waiter generally works as a API. API is like this will try to pick the data from the backend and give the data into the front end portion, right? So API is like a application programming interface, and the companies generally store their data inside the databases. The companies store their data inside the databases, and the person or the waiter, like this is the same example that I was giving, like this is the API server or the backend, and this is the waiter that can be generally refer as a API or application programming interface. And this will try, the client will try to give a request or give a like basic request to this waiter or to this API. Now that API has to play their role, that API can able to access the data from the API server. The server will try to serve the data. This API holds the data back and will the and it will give the response. It will give the response return back to the client. So in the same way, the client was more interested in that I can able to buy the API from the NSE subscription, right? Now I can get the live data, right? If I can get the live data with the API that I am using, now the requirement is real time analysis, so that I can take decision based on the real time data that I am getting. Right now it's Monday and the market is still live. Let me just show you. See, it's not related to just only the one data set like the financial data set. I will try to generally pick the example related to different ones. See, whatever the data that I am seeing here or getting here, it's all coming from the back end, right? If I just simply hit Control Shift I, which is like inspecting this website, right? So it will try to show you the overall code portion. You need to just simply click on this network, right? The network is like whatever the data that you are getting all comes from the backend portion. You just need to click on Control R, and these are the requests that generally client do. And here we as a client generally raised all these requests. These are the number of requests that we have raised, and these are the API requests. All these are my APIs requests, right? API client, API client, API client, and that's why we are getting all these data. As a business analyst, we need to understand the basic flow structure of how to get a data, right? If I just simply click on any of the API, now how to identify which one is API or not, which one is not? See, it's a very simple procedure. If whenever we are getting 200 and 200 with the XHR script, like we have a multiple script, like just simply click on this API, and we have this type of fetch, and with the status code is 200, it generally shows the API, right? If I just simply click on this, and let me just double click on this, this is the request URL, and now go to this website and simply paste this. These are the data set that I am getting, and this particularly data set is completely communicating with the help of API, and the full form of API is an application programming interface. It's like when one application wants to communicate with the another application, it generally uses this concept. That concept is called API. So when you work as a business analyst, you need to understand how to get data from different sources. You can get the data from Excel as well, you can get data from CSV as well, you can get data from TSV as well, you can get data from servers as well, right? You can get data from websites as well. So that's why if you just understood how to get data from different sort of, like the databases or the concept that you have, now you can able to analyze the data set. And once you got all these data set, you can particularly work on data cleaning. And there is a concept that we generally refer this as a, let me just go to and Google this. Generally we try to use this word, which is called the exploratory data analysis, right? Exploratory data analysis consists of multiple tools, right? EDA with the help of exploratory data analysis. Let me just show this exploratory data analysis, that the basic work has to do on day to day basis. When you got any data from any of the sources, like you have the raw data, and you will try to perform the exploratory data analysis. You need to understand the problem, you need to handle the missing values, you need to perform the data transformation and all. You need to visualize the concept, you need to understand the outliers. We'll try to understand what exactly these outliers are. Then finally you can able to communicate the finding and the insight, and that can be referred as a conclusion, right? So it's again the basic task of a data analyst as well, and it's again a basic task of a business analyst as well, to identify the business problem, to get the raw data, and to give the conclusion, not to particularly work on all these things single handedly. Business analyst has to use the data analyst concept as well. Business analyst has to use the data scientist concept as well. So he or she is the same person that uses all the tools and technologies that right now going in the market, so that the companies can get their solution on a real time basis. This is just only the basic requirement, right? If I just say, okay, any question related to anything as of now, right? Whatever the APIs concept that we have performed, anyone? Dr. Nidhi ma'am, Dr. Varsha ma'am, Dr. Priya ma'am, Dr. Par sir, Dr. Pooja ma'am, Dr. Madan sir, Dr. Manish sir, Dr. Vivekanand sir, anyone? Any question related to this? Like how to get data from different sort of data, like the servers or the data set that we have? Anyone? Okay, now let me just continue. So we know that we need to understand the type of business data. It's very important, right? Now, once we get the overall analysis of a data, we need to understand the statistical concept. What do you understand by the statistics? We know that the statistics lies, the science of understanding data is a statistics. If I just want the overall average value, like the variance, how the data is scattered, like the correlation between the target that we have and the profit that we have. If I want to like find the correlation between the spend that we have particularly achieve and the sales that we have achieved, right? There is a requirement of a probability, and believe me, once we start with the machine learning concept, there is a requirement of a probability, and there is one algorithm that is called naive bayes, and that naive bayes is 100% completely based on the probability concept, which is my like the Bayes theorem. So again, it's very important for a business analyst to understand all these statistical concepts, right? We'll try to particularly perform all these things practically. Now let me just open the data set, and now I'll want all your suggestions and the approach that we can generally use to understand the data and the very basic problem that we can particularly perform, right? So this is the data set, right? And I'll give you the data set as well so that you can perform the same thing. See, I have this data set, right? The data set is related to some sort of e-commerce kind of, right? And the banking kind of data set, right? We have the transaction ID, the customer ID, the product ID, the product category and the product name, right? The purchasing amount, the purchase date, and the customer age with their location, with the gender, and the payment that they have used, and if there is any discount apply on that, and the customer feedback that they finally shared, right? See, this data set is related to like the Flipkart e-commerce or any sort of like the Walmart or any sort of e-commerce sector that you can pick. Right? Now the problem is you need to understand the companies generally faces like the declinement in their customers. The companies were like they are not getting the right customer at right time. They generally want to perform some real time insight, some real time analysis, so that they can take decision based on that, right? We need to identify the business problem. We need to understand the data pattern inside this. We need to particularly work on this, right? So if I just continue with this data set, the first of all, you need to understand what different decision making techniques that you can use, right? The second thing, you need to understand the different four level of analysis. See, it's not like I was just saying we have only four level of different analysis: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. You need to understand all these things, right? Suppose the case study could be related to the Netflix content strategy, right? As a business analyst, you need to let me just give you the objective, right? The objective is like the objective is you are working as a business analyst. You need to understand user behavior, and you need to understand, you need to optimize the content creation. This is the objective, and as a business analyst, you need to sort out the problem while understanding the business objective. The objective is like understanding user behavior. So let me just write it very short: user behavior. You need to understand the user behavior, and you need to optimize the content creation, right? User behavior and optimize the content creation. Okay, now this is the business objective, and you are working as a business analyst for Netflix, right? So how to particularly sort out this business problem and to give the solution? Now let me just ask, what different kind of data set that you are interested in this? See, imagine that you are working as a business analyst, right? What different kind of data set that you will generally ask? You know that this is the case study. The objective is like you need to understand the user behavior, and you need to optimize the content creation. Now let me just ask, what kind of data set that if you'll work as a business analyst, you will generally look for? Everyone, every respected faculties, बताइए. Sir, I will also kindly request to show how complex data can be gathered from Bloomberg CME. Very good, because there are some data that are difficult to get, especially regarding the digital expenditure and the sustainable or green banking expenditure undertaken by banks. See, the thing is, we have two different approaches. API is how to use in NSE. Sir, can you show how the data was gathered from NSE? Yes, I can definitely show, right? See, for that I need to write a Python script, right? I can see, I'll try to generally use all these techniques, right? But because we have a very limited span of time, I'll definitely try to show you how to let me just, instead of like telling this, let me just write ki what are the different techniques we'll try to perform. I can get data from any website, and that technique is called web scraping. Okay, I can get data from any website, irrespective of the website, like the Amazon, Flipkart, Uber, any sort of data मैं कुछ भी मंगा सकता हूँ, right? I can get data with the legal procedure, which is called API. We know that API is the application programming interface. Someone asked like how to get data from NSE. Can you show how the data was gathered from NSE? See, for that we need to understand the very uh, genuine concept or the legal one concept, which is called the API one, right? If I want to get data legally, I need to understand this API concept. If I want to get data illegally, I can also get data from illegal aspect as well. For that, I need to use the web scraping concept, right? And Python has their inbuilt module that is called NSE tools. In Python, we know that we have multiple modules, right? And if it just allows me, I'll try to give you how to get data from NAC as well. Believe me, I can show you like how all these web scraping techniques work, how to write code in Python, and how to get use the modules which is like NAC tool to get live data from NAC as well. But believe me, again, this is an illegal technique. If you want any data from legally, you need to use this API technique. And someone also asked the question, like, I was also kindly interested to show how complex data can be gathered from Bloomberg, right? Very good question, right? See, when you generally work in company, you need to understand one basic concept which is called data pipeline. The data pipeline is like, we need to understand we have different data sets from different sources. Let me just write the data pipeline consists the data warehouses, we have the data lakes as well. Okay, so just give me a second, right? I think I am facing some like the power problem for my laptop. Let me just check, it's charging, but why like this is like only for 10%? Okay, no issue. See, the thing is that yeah, I was just giving, we need to understand the data pipeline concept, the data warehouses, the data lakes are there, and data ponds are also there, right? If you'll work as like any data engineer or any sort of analysis or the business analyst, you need to understand all these data pipeline concept, right? Let me just show you ki how to understand how to create a data pipeline to business analyst business analyst Power BI report, right? See, this is the data pipeline that we generally perform, right? And it's not like this is the very basic one. We can particularly use any sort of analysis, and I think this one is the best that I can particularly show. Deployment pipeline, right? See, we have a development workspace, and if I just simply start with the agile methodologies, we need to understand this kind of stuff, right? We have three different types of phases. The first is called development phase, second is called testing phase, the third is called production phase, right? We know that if you are working as a Power BI developer or any BI analyst, whatever you are implementing, you need to understand that that particular things are doing good in the development space or not, right? You need to get data that generally represent the databases, right? You need to understand, you need to create the data pipeline as well, right? The data pipeline is like this. Okay, someone asked like how to get the complex data na? So for that you need to create the data pipeline. The data pipeline could be related to the legal one procedure, like you have the GitHub repositories, you have the API request, you have the SQL databases. You just need to particularly connect to this SQL databases or to any sort of. We will try to perform all this practically, right? Then once you particularly connected to the databases from whatever you are getting, you need to perform, you need to create a data modeling. The data modeling is like we need to create the complex model. The complex model is like there are multiple tables, and that multiple tables are collected are and are connected to each other, right? Let me just show this. They are connected to each other, and the data models could be like multiple tables, from one table, two table to thousands of table. And if you'll work as a business analyst or as a data scientist, you need to understand these are the data modeling that we have to create. And believe me, this could be again the business problem, right? The companies faces losses. Why? Because there is no such like connectivity or the relationship between the multiple data set or the multiple tables that the companies have, right? This could be the problem. So business analyst has to identify the problem, and they should recommend that these are the solutions that we can generally perform. We need to understand the data modeling concept as well, right? So if I just simply show you, we have to create the deployment pipeline. If we have created the development workspace, whatever we have performed, we have particularly used this development workspace. Now there is a tester that will try to particularly test all the reports or the dashboard or the concept or the data cleaning that you have already performed. It will try to integrate with the app, it will try to communicate with the app, and this is called my testing workspace. And once the testing workspace has the feedback mechanism, if it is good, then you can particularly further move to deployment pipeline. The deployment pipeline is like the production workspace, And this is again the feedback mechanism, right? The feedback mechanisms are like, if there is any problem related to the production workspace, the companies will try to particularly work on again the development workspace, and that's where the agile methodologies or the Jira tools comes into the market. We need to create the software development life cycle. So when you work as a business analyst, you need to also understand this concept, which is called software development life cycle models. And we know that the very popular one is the agile methodologies, right? And that is called the waterfall model, right? We'll try to implement all these things, right? What exactly the stage one, what are the different levels of stage, what do you understand by the spring model, what do you understand, what exactly the uses of a scrum meeting, what are the purpose of a scrum masters. We will try to implement all these things, because once you work as a business analyst, you need to understand all these things, right? The software development life cycle, right? So the question was ki, how to get data.